In this video, I'm going to go very explicitly through how I want you to complete this worksheet. So here's the sentences that I chose to use. The methodology behind frequency analysis relies on the fact that any language has its own personality. The most obvious trait is that letters have a frequency which would they occur in the language. That's basically what we're trying to do, but it's also the text that I'm going to encrypt. So I'm going to copy this, and you guys told me about whatever algorithm you're going to use. I am going to use an algorithm here to encrypt that exact phrase. So I'm going to paste it in somewhere, and I'm going to compile, and I'm going to run it, and that should encrypt it for me. This does a lot more than encrypt it, but the final encrypted version is this version. It says after the shift. So I'm going to copy this whole thing. I need to get the whole window onto the screen. I'm going to copy this whole message from here to here. And this is going to be my encrypted version of that same message. And I'm going to put that back into here. So this is my encrypted version of the message above. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to ask you to do is to run it through my frequency analysis. What that's going to do is pick up on the number of letters that there are. So, for example, I see that there's a lot of X's here, right? X is not a very common letter in the English language, but it is a common letter. The letter that it is mapped to is a common letter. So let's go ahead and take a look at that and see which letters keep occurring over and over again. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it into my frequency analysis decrypt. The encrypted text is going to go right into here. Compile it. And there we go. This is the main thing that I'm looking for this table, is this letter frequency. So if I go here, this is the letter frequency of my encrypted message. So a couple things should jump out at me. I have 23 N's. That must mean that N is a very common letter. And I have, let's see, I already noticed I had a lot of X's. Yeah, 19 X's. I have, what else occurs a lot? 15 M's. So if I look back at my message here, I can make some pretty good guesses. N is 23. That's the most frequent letter. And if I look at the frequency table, I can see the most common letter is actually E. So a reasonable starting guess would be that N is equal to E. You don't need to go through all of that now, but that's the information that's telling you. So the other video I gave you kind of talks you through how you can use this frequency analysis to try to decrypt. But now, since we have this message above, we can very quickly see, is the N actually an E? And it does appear to be, because so the first word is the, so N would be the E, and also the E in methodology. So our frequency analysis in this case told us right away that N was actually E, because the most common letter happened to map to the most common letter in English. So here you're going to comment it something like frequency analysis was helpful. And it gave us our most common letter. You can talk about how it gave us the most common letter. You probably want to analyze it a little bit more than that, but I don't want you to sit around and watch me do that live. And then talk about, do you think that the message if you stayed at it. And I know it's kind of an arduous task. I did another video where I went through one entirely, but do you think that if you plugged away at it, you would eventually be able to decrypt? If this finding this message led you to $1 million hidden treasure, would you be able to do it? And would this help? So that's the type of thing I want you to comment on below. So that's all. It can be hard work kind of doing the ultimate decrypting of these, but I just want you to comment on, how feasible it might be using the concept of frequency analysis to help you figure it out as you go. Hopefully, this helps describe what we're actually doing here. Thank you.